This was 2004, when I was 20 and living in a small 2-level apartment on the main floor of a building. Out front, there were 3 stairs, then a deck, then 3 more stairs to the front door, and another little narrow deck that ran the length of the front of my apartment, which besides the door was all windows. The main floor was tiny kitchen/living room and a door to the hallway for laundry/parking access, all of which is totally visible from the windows. It was fall in Western Canada during daylight savings, pitch black early and surprisingly warm for the season. I had all my windows open and hadn't closed the blinds as to get a breeze in, and was talking on the phone to my sister. I had my back to the windows, and when I turned around, I thought I saw something weird at the window. It was really bright inside, so I turned the main light off and see a man pressed against the window staring at me. I screamed and told my sister a man is on my deck looking at me. He seemed to take off into the darkness. I turned off all the lights inside, put the outside ones on, and I was babbling to my sister like, holy shit, a peeping Tom. So scary, I can't believe it. And then he just walks back up the deck. I screamed again, he's back, I have to call 911. Hung up and did, while his face was pressed against the window, and it was still open. Windows were floor to ceiling with screened crank-opened bottom sections that I had open to the max and could for sure accommodate a determined person crawling in. He could hear me and the 911 call, but didn't move. I had crouched down in the dark room and the main light was off, so he couldn't see me, but I had the lights on beside the door to the hallway and on the stairs to the bedroom. I didn't want to move and let him know where I was. I should have run into the hall and banged on a neighbour's door, but I was in shock, and after all, the cops are coming from a station 10 blocks away. They'll get here soon, right? We can't find your address. I'm directly behind the rec centre at X and Y, corner unit, unmistakable area landmark, and the only apartment building there. The man at the window starts banging on the glass. I was whispering, but assume he heard me give panicked directions repeatedly, and we both can't hear sirens. It felt like this would go on forever, when he finally just ran off. Couldn't see far, and there were plenty of places to crouch and hide, so I was not at all sure. I peek out to see a police car, so I told the operator they're here, and then the car starts to drive away, and the operator told me to go outside and flag them down. I don't know why I actually did, because I was scared shitless, but when I did, they rolled down their windows. Ma'am, do you need help? Oh, you're looking for me, I think. I called 911. We are just driving by. But what's the problem? They never found the man that terrified me and made me feel so unsafe that I moved, but it was truly the cops not being able to find the only apartments behind a notable building that completely shook me. The frightening end note is when I moved out, they tried to charge me because the downstairs screens are shredded from your cats. The screens were pristine the day the creeper showed up, and that was the last time I opened the downstairs windows or blinds or used the front door. The property manager laughed and mocked me, called BS when I said someone cut them, until I showed her the police report. She lived there too, so suddenly not so funny. So, I'm a 22F, and I just moved into this apartment complex in the heart of downtown Baltimore. Tonight was my second night living here, and I went to do the laundry that was on the lower level of the complex, kind of like the basement, and decided to use the gym that was also on the lower level, while I wait for my clothes to get washed. So, I'm in the gym, working out, and it's a small room with not much equipment. I was the only one in there, and I see this guy in the hallway outside, looking at me. I ignored him, and continued working out, until he came into the gym and gave me a thumbs up and said, "Good job." I smiled and said, "Thank you." He then comes into the gym and starts the treadmill, and I didn't want to be confined in a small space with this guy. So I went to the laundry room and my washer was almost finished. So I waited and texted on my phone, and a few minutes later, that same guy came in and he went to do his load. We were the only ones in there. And then he came up to me and showed me his phone, and it was on Google Translate and it read, "You are beautiful." I said thank you, and he continued to translate for me to read. He's from Saudi Arabia and he barely spoke any English. And he was asking if he wanted to be my friend. I have a hard time saying no, so I just shrugged and said okay. And he asked, via Google Translate, for my number. I gave him a fake, and he called it right in front of me, and of course my phone didn't ring. He continued to call, and still nothing. He told me to wait there, and ran back to the elevators. I started to get a bad feeling, so I left the laundry room. I waited on the other side of the hallway, passed the elevators, and turned the corner, where he wouldn't see me, and texted my boyfriend what was happening. The elevator door then opened, and the man comes out, and I heard him go into the laundry. I had this gut feeling telling me to run, and I'm never a frantic person or anything, and I don't get spooked that easily, but I just had a really bad feeling. I pressed the exit button to unlock the door that leads to the outside, and it wasn't budging. I turned around and saw him head into the gym from the mirror on the wall, and knew he was going to check this side next, so I kept frantically pushing the button, and the doors unlocked and I ran outside. I walked around for 10 minutes on the phone with my boyfriend, telling him what had happened, and went to the lobby of my complex and asked the front desk lady if she could escort me to the laundry room. She said yes, and we went. The man wasn't there, and I put my clothes in the dryer, and she told me to come back and get her when the dryer was done. 45 minutes later, the front desk lady and I went to the laundry room, and guess who was in there? The man. He smiled and was about to say something until he saw who I was with and became quiet. I got my clothes and we left, and the guy left with us too. We all got in the elevator with the lady in between us, and her and I got off on the lobby floor so she could show me where the other laundry rooms were on the other side of the complex. I thanked her and went on my way. I waited for the elevator to come down, and when it did and the doors opened, that man came off and held the door open for me. I said no and told him I would wait for the next one. I didn't want him knowing which floor I lived on. He got off and was pacing back and forth and huffing and puffing. As soon as the next elevator opened, I got on and he tried to get on with me. I immediately got off and he was like, "Come in, come inside," and I said no, and he started to get really mad and started to walk towards me. I booked it back to the lobby, and to my luck, the front desk lady was already heading my way, telling me she saw what happened on the security camera. She escorted me to my room and made sure I got in safely. I'm so thankful that she was there, and this probably wouldn't have happened if I just cut the conversation short with that man. I have never been this freaked out before, and have never felt this unsafe either. Even though he didn't necessarily do anything wrong, it was just the vibe I got off from him. I'm going to use the laundry room on the other side of the complex, just so I can lessen the chance having to ever run into that man again.
There is this hotel at the Bulgarian seaside in which we have an apartment. To be honest, that's kind of a strong word for it, because it's really just a big room with a giant bed, refrigerator, big windows on both of the walls, and a really small bathroom. It's on a ground floor, and again, both of the walls are facing the parking lot of the hotel. Despite all that, it's perfect for me alone. It's right next to the beach, and that's why I've been spending some of my summer vacations there. So around July, about 3 years ago, I'm spending a week with my ex-boyfriend there, and about 3 to 4 weeks alone after that. My ex always said that the owners of the hotel were a bunch of creeps. Whenever we went out of the room, we had to walk a path passing through the reception where they used to sit all day doing absolutely nothing. The old dad, I believe, was around 60 years old, and his son around 40. His daughter around 45, and her husband as well. Whenever you would pass, they would all get silent and just stare at you. Every freaking time. I was used to it already, but the boyfriend was irritated, especially when he caught the son staring at my butt smiling. After that, he used to just stare him down very deadly, right in the eye, whenever he got a chance. So my ex goes back to the city, and now it's the 3rd week that I've been alone, and the night is really hot, so I decided to open up both of my windows wide open and put the curtains above them. I did this to defend myself from being peeked at. After all, I'm at ground level, and my bed is right below both of the windows. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I just feel like someone's watching me. This continues to happen the next few nights. I'm very easily scared and paranoid, but I was alone there, so I've been telling myself to chill and that it's just my crazy mind trying to scare itself. Some nights went by without problem. Meanwhile, the crummy sun tried to talk with me 2 to 3 times when I'm off at the beach. So, it's around 1 a.m. and I'm falling asleep, and I hear footsteps outside the path. It's not really strange. There's some people next to me staying at the same kind of apartment. Maybe someone's coming home or going out partying. But the steps stop at one point, really close outside. I hear all of it because of the open windows. I'm sitting on the bed now and listening when I notice the freaking door handle is moving slowly up and down. I kind of lost my crap but stayed quiet, and I was really proud of myself for locking the door. After that, nothing really happened, and whoever the person was just walked away. I closed the windows, called my dad, and then told him what had just happened. He told me to lock and close everything, and that he would take me in the morning. Mind you, it's a 5-hour drive. This was 3 years ago. Last night we're all having a dinner, and my dad is like, "Do you remember your sea adventures?" And he then proceeds to tell me that he made his own little investigation back in the day, and he asked the owners of the hotel for security camera records. They check the ones at the parking lot and see a male figure walking around. The part with the door handle wasn't in the camera's range though. My dad then remembers of my strange midnight waking up routine and tells them to check the older records, in which they all see a man getting at my window and peeking through the curtains, standing like that for about 15 to 20 minutes. The woman finally recognized the man as her brother, and then told my dad that he has mental disabilities and begged him not to press any charges and they'll take better care of him and look after him. So the good guy that my dad was decided not to press any charges. But even to this day, it still gives me the creeps.